1890. Let's talk about homes with Sandi Clark Debbie Miller. We call it Sandi and Debbie.
Homes.
Sandi and Debbie Homes.
Yes.
But neither one of your last name is Holmes.
No.
Okay. SandyandDebbieHomes.com, so we can actually even figure out how to find you.
Yes.
Or First Team Real. Do we have to give First Team any kudos here, or we just call it Sandi and Debbie Homes?
We love First Team,
That's
but
right.
you'll
So do
find
I.
us at Sandi and Debbie Homes. So
Okay.
maybe a little of both.
A little bit. I love
Yeah.
First Team too. We've got a lot of
Yeah.
friends at First Team, and
Yeah.
we see them all. They're very, very, very supportive of Ron Siegel Radio. We've got a lot of friends over there.
Yes.
So
Yes.
They're wonderful.
wonderful company. So tell me a little bit about how you're helping people. What are you seeing in the marketplace? I go through and give all these different numbers, and they're all national numbers.
Yes.
And
Right.
if we were to go and say, okay, here's the national number, and then try and apply it to Ladera Ranch, Irvine, and they mean absolutely nothing.
Right.
What are you seeing in those areas then?
Well, in Irvine, for example, we do not have a whole lot of inventory. It's much, much lower than what it was before. And we still have a bit of an increased
Now,
demand.
Sandy, you said something there. I want to back up because I know some people don't understand this. And we talk about things because we're doing it all the time.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm just a simple guy, so I like to try and sometimes we talk about inventory.
Yes.
Right.
What is inventory when we're talking about real estate?
The number of homes that are currently on the market is
Okay.
the inventory.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then the demand term is the number of homes that any given month go into escrow.
Okay.
So we can measure how many we have to sell and how many are actually being sold.
So I use a service, Altos as every home street every week, every day. 78 homes for sale in the city of Irvine.
Right. That's crazy.
That's almost unheard of to have it be that low.
It's a pretty big city to have nothing to buy.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important when you are looking or thinking of selling to really look at the area that you're in, because we're in the trenches. There's all this noise happening nationally and even in the county. And you really have to go on a micro level and look at your individual city to know what is going on. And overall, the inventory is so low in Orange County.
Right.
That although the demand has really reduced, it's not as much as you might think because of the inventory shortage.
So is it the demand that is this kind of balance? Is that what you're thinking it is right now? Is it the supply is obviously very, very low.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
Across the board.
right.
Across the board.
Yeah. So it's just there's not a lot of people out there looking to buy, but there's also nothing to sell. So we don't have any major effect on pricing. Is that accurate?
Not as much as you might think.
One of the things I like to point out, though, too, is we tell all of our sellers that the market will be a little bit soft until after the Super Bowl, which I know sounds ridiculous, but people start coming back out. So what we've been finding from our Irvine office is that when an open house is being sold on a new listing that is there, they're getting hundreds of people going through. So though the
Just
demand,
because the Super Bowl's over?
well,
They're
they don't have
not
something.
going to Disneyland to see Patrick, I guess.
They are not.
Okay.
They're actually going out and looking at houses again. So demand has increased like 18% over the last couple of weeks, just since the Super Bowl. Isn't that funny?
It is.
It is.
And ironically enough, so I just pulled up from our friends at Altos Research. I could go see every single family residence that's available for sale in Ladera Ranch in one afternoon.
Yes.
13 homes.
That's
Yes.
it.
13.
That's it.
I mean, that's just crazy.
And that's over all price ranges.
Right.
So,
And there's 9 condos though.
yeah.
I'm just blown away looking at these numbers.
Yes.
How do you
It's
sell
wild.
it? Right. I mean, so I forgot who it was. I had a guest on recently and
Mhm.
said there's 6 reasons people are buying right now.
Yes.
And I love it, so I stole it. Right.
Yes.
It's great.
Diamonds, diapers, diplomas, divorce, death, and defaults.
I love that.
I
We
like
we
steal
might
it
steal.
too.
We might steal that from you.
Right? So
But it's so true. We call them life events.
okay.
And that really is what makes people move. And you sometimes don't know when those are going to happen.
Right.
But when they do, there's a great commercial out right now for the California Association of Realtors about that as well, where The woman comes home, says she's pregnant and it's twins. And he's like, I got to find a new house immediately.
Yes.
Sure.
So
They're not going to find it at Ladera Ranch, probably.
Well,
maybe
and
with
that's
our help.
And that, well, yes, that's possible. But there's another aspect of it is, and that is a person really needs to, if they want to buy, decide what they can't live without, not what they want, but what they absolutely cannot live without. If they have that, then that opens up more options.
Mhm.
So, for example, if you're looking at a place like Ladera Ranch that has so few, or Irvine for that matter, that has so few, and they're willing to look at some surrounding areas, not only may they find a home, but they may also save money and have a bigger home because the demand won't be quite as great in some of those other spots.
So let me ask you a shameless plug here.
Okay.
So being that you've got a subset, right? Your company is basically Sandi and Debbie Homes is a subset of First Team.
Correct.
And I know that we don't have any, there's just 7 listeners, so don't worry.
Okay.
Okay.
So and we never get anybody from CAR or the MLS listening.
Right.
Does First Team have the opportunity then when you're with First Team, like a board of some sort of things that are coming that may not have been on the market yet?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. We have a program called Sneak Preview.
Okay.
It is amazing. And basically it is a way to market within our company and a list of homes that are not yet on the market. Some people will call it pocket listings. We call it Sneak Preview. And being a part of First Team, we have access to that. And our in-house clients, we are able to show and share those homes with them. So for example, if you come and say, hey, I want a 3-bedroom condo in Irvine and there aren't any on the market, we can then go on to our list and hopefully the agents will have put them into our back office database, and we can call them up and say, hey, we know this is coming soon. Can you give me details? Are you at a point where we can see it and show it and possibly get a buyer home off the market? It happens all the time.
That's one of the big benefits of using a professional.
Yes.
Of course.
Right.
Yes.
And in all honesty, a professional is at a big company.
And a good reputation. I just went into escrow for a client that wanted a very specific home in the Irvine metro area. And I called all the agents I knew, not necessarily just at First Team, but with other companies as well. And we were able to put it together completely off market. She knew a seller who was looking to sell. My buyer fit that house fit my buyer's needs. We put it together and completely done off market.
So internal collaboration.
Absolutely.
Great information.
And that's just what's happening right now.
We are continuing our conversation. Sandi Clark, Debbie Miller, sandyanddebbiehomes.com.
Yes.
In fact, Josh, we ought to put that on the screen there, sandyanddebbiehomes.com. If we can put a little banner up there for the ladies so that people know how to find them. But let's get back to chatting and helping folks, because you really need some education right now. Now, we were talking during the break that January, February last year, all of 2021, 2020,
Yes.
it was chaos in real estate.
Crazy.
You didn't know calling a spade, you didn't need to know what you were doing as a realtor to sell properties.
This is true.
Because there was 100 properties. You put a sign up and they sell. It's kind of like, I go back, I remember 1979, it was kind of the same way. You just put up a sign. I sold a house in 3 months by owner. Pretty stupid back then. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I put a for sale sign in the window and it sold 3 months after I bought it. Didn't realize I was going to get hit with a big tax bill. But now you need to have somebody that's educated,
Yes.
right? That knows the market, knows some of the ways to get offers accepted,
Right.
right? And manages and educates. Right? Is that part of your process, consultation, education?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. We do a whole buyer consultation with people where we brainstorm what are the right steps for them to take. And of course, the first thing is they have to be prepared. I can't tell you the number of times we've been fortunate. Perhaps it's just we do so much research, but we'll take a person out one time and they'll find a house they want to buy. So they need to be ready before we go out and take a look at properties. That's kind of a beginning first step. We also talk to them about what are the most important things to them about a home so that we can include that in our search.
I had an agent that I was chatting with a few years back, well, probably more than that now, before COVID. And he used to, when he would have a buyer that he was taking out to see a home, he sold a lot of properties. So it wasn't like he was just a newbie, but he would only go to one property. And he basically said, if we did our job right in that initial consultation, I've kind of learned what you need, and I go out and do the shopping for you. And if that property wasn't the right property, we need to go back to the office and kind of figure out, where did I go wrong? What did I do
Right.
wrong?
In theory, I love that. I think in reality, people may need to touch and feel a couple. So I think we definitely do a version of that, but maybe that property is house number 5 or
Right.
6, because when we take somebody into a home, we want them to be open and talking and saying, okay, what do you like? What can you not live without? As my mom said. And so then hopefully by house 5, we have the one that we think is there. They've seen the ones that maybe don't have all those check boxes. And then we walk into the last one. And
Well, I'm not going to get too sexist on it, but probably I bet it has to do with the male and female differences. And what I mean by that is whenever we've looked for houses in the last 35 years, I get absolutely no vote. Right? My wife gets 100%. It's up to her. So if I'm thinking about houses and I'm thinking from a numeric standpoint, right? I'm not a realtor, and I would never be able to do that job in my life. But I look at it from just numbers. Well, this is the number you said. It fits the bill. We're good. My wife has a little bit more desires than I do.
Yeah, we like to say there's always a decision maker.
Right.
And
I know my place.
Well, it is different in every relationship. There's
is.
always one person that's by the numbers and one person that's more emotional.
And sometimes it's the female that's by the numbers as
Yes.
well. We found both.
We have.
Because I've watched so many times where, mom wants to know the kitchen's got to be right and all these things.
Oh, yes.
And I'm just looking at it saying, I got a man cave. I'm only allowed to go in this room anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Right?
There's a hot button for everybody.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. That's exactly. Chris, thank you, buddy. I don't know if anybody would ever take me, though. So if you have any questions or comments, want to make comments here, you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, and you can, that way we know who you are. Marcy, thank you. Chris, I'll never make it for president. I've got too much baggage. You know that. But let's continue our conversations here. So walk me through this consultation. How does that kind of go?
Well, the first thing we do is we sit down and we talk to them about why it is, what's important about them buying a home, because we need to know how motivated they are. We ask them what they've heard about the market.
You mean you're not just a tour guide?
No.
No.
Right?
We probably got over that part a little
Immediately.
earlier in our career, right?
Sure, exactly.
But it's important for them too. I mean, we go through all of the things about what it is that they want, what they don't like, what's important to them about a home, why do they want to buy one. We show them a contract. I don't think it's right to ask somebody to sign a 16-page contract when they are seeing it for the first time at
on
the
their
table.
phone on a DocuSign.
Right.
That's
Yes. And
you can't even read unless you've got really young eyes.
Exactly. So we do all of that kind of thing. And then we set up a search and we ask them to comment on the ones that we have put in there to see whether or not our criteria is correct. And once we have all of those things set up, we have a pre-approval letter. Oftentimes we hope we can get direct underwriting approval for these folks. And it makes it very
Got to have
strong.
the direct underwriting. That's kind of a given.
It's very strong.
Absolutely. It puts your offer to the top.
Well, I used to be able to tell people checkbox J4, which I don't even know the RPA, right? But now I know that they even actually put a new spot on there
Yes.
that says that it's been underwritten.
Yes.
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 So you're right, because you want to have something. What's going to make your offer stronger than the next person?
Absolutely. And it gives them a realistic view of what they can actually afford with that pre-approval letter. We would be doing a disservice to our client if we let them walk into a home without having talked to a lender. Because the worst thing that could happen is they fall in love and then they talk to the lender and they realize, oh, that's out of my budget.
They
So
can't have it.
it's a huge, as you know,
Sure.
it's a huge part of the process of being
I just
prepared.
had that conversation on Monday with a group, and I said, and I was talking to it was a group of realtors, and it's happened to be that they service a different market, but I said, as a professional realtor, how many times have you gone into a $650,000 house
Mhm.
and a $500,000 house? which one's going to generally be a nicer property,
Right.
Well, the higher
right?
price
The
one,
higher
of course.
priced one generally, right? So if you've got a $500,000 budget and a $600,000 taste, now you start going and looking at what you can afford. It's going to be harder to find something you fall in love with.
Right.
So I want to get back to well, Chris, I'm gonna throw this at the ladies. I see your question here. Have we shifted to a buyer's market officially? And is it time to start offering less than list price?
We were talking about this on the break.
We were.
Go ahead and help
Well,
Chris.
we're not in a buyer's market yet. A buyer's market means that the days on market are going to be between 90 and 120 days. Now, if you are in a 2 million or more home, then yes, it is a buyer's market
Okay.
in that category. But most of us aren't buying in that price
Right.
range. And
I think
and
Albert Pujols' home is still for sale in Shady Canyon, right?
there you go.
9.8 million.
Right.
It's 9.8 million.
Those take a
so-
little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yes, but right now we're still in what we would like to call a perhaps soon to be neutral market, but it's still a seller's market in most price ranges because they're selling in less than 3 months.
Yeah, and
So-
we looked
Right.
at that report from Altos Research earlier, and if you want your zip code, any zip code, rsrlistana.com, rsrlistana.com. So I'm looking here at the report that we were talking about earlier for Irvine. Says strong sellers market, not just a seller's market, but strong sellers market.
Yes.
We can look at Ladera Ranch and see if I can pull that one up quick enough because I don't want to waste too much
Yeah.
time on this. Whoops, I guess I can't.
And
pull it up
again,
very
it's
quick.
all based on the inventory, what we were talking about earlier.
Sure.
So if you want the home, the deal, so to speak, is going to be actually winning the house.
That's a big issue right
It's
there.
a big issue.
Yes.
So what's important is that you work with somebody who knows what they're doing and you write the offer so that you are competitive.
You probably have to write it quickly, right?
You have to write it quickly.
Be prepared.
You have to be
Yes.
prepared, like what we've been talking about the entire segment. So you have to be prepared to make a decision, write the offer, be underwritten with a
Right.
lender, offer a good price for the home and good terms.
Now, before the break, we were chatting a little bit about your consultation, and I love the professionals that use the consultation process instead of just saying, "Okay, let's get in the car and go,"
Right.
Yes.
because it's really showing that you've got, in my opinion, a care for people, not just trying to get out there and sell a house,
Yes.
right? You're trying
Yes.
to fulfill a family needs. But the question I would come up with when you do these consultations, does that enlighten the buyers things that maybe they didn't even think about things because you've been doing this more than a day or two, right? So
Yes. Well, we do what we call a crystallization process
crystallization. Okay.
where you can identify the values that are most important. Is it that you want a house that's going to be comfortable, aesthetically pleasing, a great value? Those are all just part of
An
it. They're like,
entertainment area if you like to cook and have people over.
Mhm.
Safety.
So when we do that, we kind of get a view from both of the people if there's more than one.
Sure.
And what's amazing is I have had couples have the one person say, "I didn't know that was important to you."
That's really enlightening, right?
Oh,
Right.
yes.
Right.
And but what's exciting is
As long as
once we
it's not directly opposite of what the other one wants.
but we
want a
usually
pool and
find
I
the com
don't.
we usually find the common ground for the people of their three top things that they really want to do. So we take a look at every house in terms of those three. And so we may say to someone, well, could you be comfortable here? How is the kitchen? Is it convenient enough for you that everything is in its place and the floor plan works? And it allows them to then understand that if those boxes are checked off and the price is still within their realm, that perhaps they ought to write an offer on that one.
Especially in this market when unfortunately you don't get a lot of time
No.
to make that decision.
No.
You
right?
do
I
not.
mean, I don't remember what we looked at, but I know the days on market was like crazy low in some of these different areas.
Yes.
15, 16, 17, 18 days.
Yeah.
Right.
So
In
And
some
that
of those
includes
price
the
ranges.
negotiation time. So really they're getting offers maybe 5 to 7 days prior to that.
so how long does it take to get an offer accepted? Generally.
A couple days.
Couple days?
A couple days back and forth. If you're in a multiple offer situation, it might take a little bit longer.
Okay.
But
'Cause there
So
may
but
be
it's
more
quick.
counters.
Overall, the process is very quick.
and I'm going to throw this at you. When you've got multiple offers, when you're representing a seller
Mhm.
and you've got multiple offers, What are the most important things that sellers are going to look at on the contracts?
We always say we want to find the buyer that is most likely to close.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
a lot of things go into that. We want to make sure that the agent has followed directions and knows what they're doing, meaning they've filled out the contract correctly, they've called us.
That narrows down a
We've
lot
had-
of them.
We've had some communication. Communication is so huge. So if the agent has called us, they've taken into consideration what our sellers' needs are in the contract. Pre-approval is huge. So they need to have a lender that has pre-approved or underwritten them. We will call the lender and have a conversation with them.
Mhm.
What else am I missing?
Well, in the supplemental section of the MLS,
Yes.
we actually put a paper that is called, So You Want to Write an Offer on This Home. And it tells all the things that the seller is looking for, because there may be a lease back that
Right.
they are hoping to have.
Sure.
Or maybe they have already spent $10,000 getting the house ready and they don't want to do any more repairs. So we will say they prefer no repairs, no additional repairs. So when you do all of that, but as a buyer's agent and as a buyer who is working with an agent, I had an interesting thing happen on one of my listings where 5 days after we were in escrow and we had multiple offers, a new agent called and said, "Well, did you get my offer?" I said, "No, I haven't heard anything from you about an offer." It had gone to my spam folder and he had never called until 5 days later.
Yeah.
Not
5
good.
days?
Yeah. So
Not
that
good.
communication's huge. So
Big time.
all those things we watch for when we have a listing and we're working with multiple
Because that's a red
offers.
flag. How well is he going to handle everything else
Yeah.
that's
Right.
part of
It's
it?
going to take
Right.
5 days to check
Right.
up on something. What's going to happen when there's issues that come up? And every transaction has issues.
Mhm.
Professional and seasoned agents actually just know how to handle them and navigate those, because there's always something going to come up. Great information. I appreciate you coming in. We'll have to do this
Absolutely.
again. We didn't get very far in a lot of the things we wanted to
Absolutely.
talk
It was a
about.
pleasure.
Thank you.